Hey, Jim.
Hey, Dean.
Jim, okay, so here's our hypothetical. All right. You've signed a 1 year deal, a 1 year fractional CMO engagement, brand new client. Congratulations, by the way. 12 months
Thank
is
you very
pretty,
much.
relatively long deal for a fractional CMO.
Yep.
So, good on you. Superior selling ability, apparently. And so uh, today's day one of what's going to be a 12-month or 365-day engagement. Okay. Um, Tell folks who you are, a little bit about you, and then talk about the kind of problems that you normally find or even go looking for in the first 90 days of a brand new engagement like that.
Okay. Well, in terms of my background, I've been in marketing for over 45 years. I view myself as a strategic brand marketer. I've
Mhm.
been started out in research, got into brand management. I was a brand manager of Coke, came back to New York and kissed Park and 53rd and said I'm never going to leave again, and from Atlanta, and became a VP of marketing in wine and spirits. Then switched over to the agency side, became president of two small divisions of Saatchi and Saatchi, and in 1990, two guys who worked with me and I started an agency. Worked there for 27 years. During that time, I was an outsourced CMO many times as not only an agency owner, but I would function in that role. And
Right.
then retired in 2016, got bored, started Jim Rowe Marketing in 2018, and do the same kind of thing. It's all on a fractional CMO basis. And then COVID hit, and they all went away, and I wrote two books on critical thinking and communication.
There you go. And what do you look for these days? Like your clients, what do you normally see in the
Uh,
first few months?
I,
Or
I look for I look for clients that need brand work. I'm a brand growth expert, and that's what I have my process I call is the brand growth workshop. And so I look for people that need help. They don't even realize they don't have a good brand. And so within the first 90 days, I'm working on assessing the brand and finding out where it stands versus the competition. What do they think their vision is, and where do we think we can take them? So that is my sort of my fundamental process.
all right, that makes sense. And so, Sofiane, hi.
Hi, Dean.
So, same scenario. Okay, except I'm going to ask you a slightly different question about the first 90 days. But let folks know who you are, and then here's your question. All right, most of your clients have they need you because they're either missing something or they've done something wrong, in your opinion, right? Or and so they've reached a point where they need someone to either build something or fix something. What typically is that for you after you tell folks who you are?
Okay. My name is Sofiane, originally from France. Though I never worked in France in my life, I've been always working abroad. I started my career in Dubai. I've 15 years of marketing background behind me. When I started my career, digital marketing was not that developed at that time. So I started with marketing, what we
Sure.
call trade marketing or traditional marketing, marketing at the point of sales. I did that for 5 years. That was my first job. I learned about marketing. It was great. And then after 5 years, digital marketing started to pick up. And so I decided to create my own digital marketing agency along with my brother. So I was doing digital marketing between France and Dubai. We did that for about another 5 to 7 years. And then I moved from Dubai to Thailand during COVID also. So things got a bit shaky during COVID and gave me time to think about what I want to do as my next step. My brother continued running the agency in France, and I decided to embrace the fractional CMO role. So
Yeah.
being based in Bangkok, Thailand, and having clients mostly in the US and doing marketing strategy for them.
So the first
Um,
90 days, what do you normally find? What's wrong?
So, so the the most common point across all my clients is that either they have been doing marketing wrong,
Hmm.
or they have been doing marketing on their own. When I say they've been doing marketing wrong, means they have been using marketing tactics without any underlying strategy. So they have been doing a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of ads, a bit of content marketing, but there was nothing binding everything together. So they're just shooting in the dark. There is no strategy underlying. Or they've been doing marketing on their own, means they did not have anyone. So they were like a one-man show, and trying also to be the marketing manager or marketing director at the same time. though they have no clue about what marketing is. And so at one point they got tired and they say, okay, I need to get a real professional, and I need to get help from people who know what they're talking about.
Okay. So imagine that it's still day one, and I'm the CEO of the client that just brought you in. Okay. So I mean, at some point, I had to figure out, how to like convince somebody, investors or the board or the leadership team or my alter ego, right, or my own doubts, that it was worth spending the money to bring in this fractional CMO. Okay. So you and I are talking. It's day one, and I say, you've worked with lots of companies, you've worked with lots of CEOs, and especially in that role. And of course, I haven't. So, what is it that I should be doing or should stop doing to make sure that the company gets maximum value out of what we're spending on you, Sofiane?
Uh,
I'm
Great
CEO.
question.
I
Yeah.
can tell you the most common answer is if as CEO, if I think I'm in charge of marketing, I should probably stop thinking I'm in charge of marketing.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean,
Yeah,
if you were not a marketing guy, stop doing marketing, or stop
right.
thinking that you know about marketing. But for me, the value literally starts from day one, because I'm going to open your eyes on a lot of things you did not see until now. Because either you were too busy running the business, or because your regular staff did not really think that this is important information for your decision making process. So remember that I come as an external element with a lot of experience helping similar businesses like you. I come with processes, I come with tools and a methodology. So I go deep into things where other consultants you have worked with usually just scratch the surface, because they're just here for a short stint. I'm here for the long run. I'm here for at least a year. So I'm going to go deep into things.
Right.
The second point to maximize the value of working with me is that you understand right from the start that I work with you and I do not work for you. It's a totally different thing of being a fractional CMO than being a full-time employee or a regular CMO. So I'm not on a payroll with a kind of job security. I need to prove myself every day, every week, every month. If I don't bring any added value to your business, I might lose the contract after some time. So if you win, I win. If you lose, we lose together. That's basically where my value
Fair enough.
stands.
And Jim, like, okay, so I'm the CEO. What should I do to sort of accentuate the value or support the value you're going to bring to the company? Or what should I stop doing to make sure I don't mute the things that you're bringing into the company?
uh, my experience is I kind of need, and this may sound odd, I kind of need to be attached to the hip of the CEO. What
Mm,
I have found to be very helpful, and I need to understand what they're thinking, and they need to be open to listening to my point of view. And so sometimes they have very set points of view. So I need to be able to say, you may be right, but let's go out and do some research. I started out in research, and I've built a lot of brands and done some very good turnarounds by making sure that it's not their point of view or the sales guy's point of view or the financial person's point of view. It's let's go out and find out what the customer thinks. So I do a lot of that brand work up front. I start out in packaged goods marketing. So the you got to know the category from a macro perspective, the micro perspective, understand who your competitors are, make sure you got do the research to get down to the final SWOT analysis. You need to
right.
be able to be open-minded enough to see and let me prove to you where we stand before we can move forward, because we have to do the analysis to find out what's wrong.
Okay, so I'm still the CEO. Maybe
Yep.
we're in the little break room at HQ, right? And I say, okay, so, and well, Jim, we'll start with you. So I'm saying, Jim, I'm looking at the marketing team that I have now, you know, depending on the size of the company or whatever. They've probably had like supervision at least, maybe even management, but no one at like leadership level in charge of
Right.
marketing before, right? And I'm looking at this team now. You're going to be here for a year. Compared to what I see today in that marketing team, how's that team going to be different or ideally better when you exit 12 months from now?
Well, they're going to, most of the time when I find that situation, the people on the team are
Mhm.
very junior. And
Mhm.
so therefore they're tacticians. My job is to turn them into strategic brand marketers. I need to help them. I mean, they still may be responsible for doing the posts and the emails and all those kind of things, but I need to make sure that they're not just silly posts, that every single one of these things that we send out and then we're talking to their customer needs
Mhm.
to be pointed towards two things. One, building that client's business and being clear about how we can solve the client's problems, my client's problems. And then how do we make sure that, so all of this information needs to be totally synchronized under one message so that we're always coming forth in the same way. So what I've always done is they need to understand, and I make them go through the same branding process that the CEO does. Everybody needs to be focused on what's our brand, how do we talk about it to anybody.
Right. All right. That makes sense. And Sofiane, how about you? Right. I'm looking at this team. How
Yeah.
are they going to be different? Is it going to be a different? Is it? Do you think it's going to get bigger or smaller? Do you think there's going to be a different mix of inside and outside, or full time and contractors, agency, non-agency? Are they going to be any different or better at the end of a year?
So the first thing is, of course, we assume that there is a marketing team in place,
Yeah.
and I will become the head of marketing, and therefore marketing departments member are going to directly report to me, which first I want to say is going to remove a huge workload from the CEO, because the CEO is not a marketing person by definition. Even some of them know a bit of marketing, but they are not marketing people. And I'm going to remove a huge load from the shoulders. So in fact, I'm going to buy time for top management so that they can focus on more strategic responsibilities. And when they need an update on the marketing situation, they're going to speak to me directly, and we're going to speak the same language. We're going to speak KPIs, performance, lead generation, etc. Now, how am I going to transform the team? It all depends on the objective we're going to set. Whether I have the resources, the sufficient resources available in house, I'm going to continue with the guys. I'm going to train them. I'm going to coach them. I'm going to mentor them. I'm going to bring them where I want them to be. If I find out that there is a gap in between what we're trying to achieve and the skills I have available, I'm either going to look outside, either for additional person, contractors, freelancers, part-time specialists like campaign ad specialists or SEO specialists, or I might also enroll an agency. Every situation is different, so I could not really tell you that I do this with all of my clients. It really depends on the situation.
Yeah. Okay, then answer this, right? I'm going to give you a 5-word question, and you just have to fill in the blank. Easiest thing we're going to do in this whole podcast, except that it's a pretty big question. All right, so just finish this sentence for me, Sofiane. Many clients just don't understand.
They don't understand what marketing is. Simply, yeah. Because for them, marketing is an expenditure. Sorry, it's just a negative line in the P&L. So what they don't realize is that marketing is actually the cash machine of the business. It's not an expense. There's no sales without marketing. Marketing gets the leads, nurtures them. Sales close the leads. So
Yeah.
without marketing, it's just the end of the pipeline. There's nothing else.
And Jim, what do you think? Most clients just don't understand what?
What it takes to build a brand.
Yeah.
And how to make a brand be a powerful entity that changes the perception of their company in their particular category. So they just don't even get it, and they don't understand the process to get there. So that's my job, is usually showing them that this is a process. If you build something, there's a process. You're building a brand, there's a process.
Okay. And Jim, how about this? People who just became fractional CMOs don't understand what?
Oh, I think they don't understand that it is an important thing to get to know the key players and make sure that the CEO has your back, and two, that you need to not just act as if you're an agency person. You need to act as you're part of the team, and you should be in on every decision. Most of the CEOs that I've been involved with in doing this would have me interviewing candidates for every job in the company. They weren't usually big companies. Maybe there'd be 20, 30, 40 people. But I'm involved in every aspect. You need to know what the financials are. And if they're not treating you as a senior member of the team that is
Right.
open and understanding all that, then you're just a junior marketer.
Yeah. And Sofiane, what do you think? People who just became fractional CMOs last week, what do they not understand about what the next year or two is going to look like for them?
I think that they don't understand that fractional is not a job, it's a lifestyle. So it's a complete transformation of the way you used to work until now. And one of the key elements of that is that you can decide how much time you want to work. And I'm really going to insist on the lifestyle aspect of this question. You can decide how much time I want to work. Like, for example, I take my example. At the moment, I work 85% of my time. So 85%, no problem. I do my 9 to 6. Right. I do what I'm paid for. But that means that I have 15% left of my time to do whatever I want. And for me, it's like learning new languages, going to play golf, doing sales outreach, training for Thai boxing. So I would not be able to do that if I'm just a regular CMO. So fractional CMO is a lifestyle. It's not just a different job.
Right on. Okay, so Sofiane, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer a question. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. You can ask Jim any question you want. And so let's do this. Because, I mean, here's the thing about this podcast, right? Guests are not curated, and that's on purpose. People pick their own time slots and they have no idea who the other person's going to be. I don't know who the other guest is going to be. And so, there's a certain energy to the podcast in that two people who do like technically roughly the same role usually do very different things in the same role. And you're sort of like stuck like almost like walking into an elevator, and there's another fractional CMO there. It's like, really? They're wearing a badge that says, "Hi, I'm a fractional CMO," and so who they are. Right? So you can ask Jim any question you want. So go, and then once you ask it, we'll give Jim a minute to think about the answer. So ask Jim any question you want, and then my question for you is, who should be contacting you these days, and how would you like them to do it? So
okay, here's my question. Yeah, here's my question to Jim. Jim, how do you react to a client who expects you to do execution work? Like they expect you to run campaigns yourself while you're supposed to have a C-suite role and act at a leadership level. How do you react to that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so like, Sofiane, who should be reaching out to you these days and how?
So people who should be reaching out to me is top executive leaders, company ownership who kind of feel lonely at the top, don't have a trusted advisor, don't know who to speak to. I've tried to do marketing on their own, but it does not work properly.
Right.
And they want to work with a specialist. They want to work with an expert. They want to work with someone who knows marketing, someone who knows how to build a team, how to recruit a team, how to build it, how to mentor, coach marketing individuals. That's typically the type of people who can contact me.
Okay, sounds good. I think that's going to be a great headline for an ad that someone's going to have me write at some point. Are you a lonely CEO?
Yeah.
So, Jim, what do you think?
Which part? What?
To the question. I interrupted you in your answer.
Okay, so the question is, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
How would you react? Yeah, how would you react to a CEO or to your client who's expecting you to actually run and deliver the campaigns yourself?
The detailed things. Well, what I do is I usually have, in addition to my own the time that I spend it on, I usually, if they need me to, I will hire the freelancers for them if they don't want to do that themselves, because I can usually guide them better. So typically, I'm not the guy doing the execution, but I have a team that does the execution. So for instance, we had a restaurant client, an eatery, and we set the brand in place, but then that person didn't have enough, the owner did not have enough people to actually do the execution. So for a short period of time, let's say 6 months to a year, we did the posting, and then as time went on, they found that if they could find somebody, it would be a lot cheaper for them. But I usually do have that opportunity. I do not do the execution.
And then, Jim, what's your question for Sofiane? And then tell me who should be contacting you these days and how to get to you.
Okay, Sofiane, I'm jealous of your digital skills. What would you tell a client that says, I really need help with my branding?
Well, I would be very straightforward to him. I'm not a brand specialist, so if you need help with the branding, I can help you to find someone who is a branding expert, because my job as a marketer is to generate as many leads as I can and qualify those leads and convert them into clients. But I'm not a branding expert, and so I want to be very transparent to them and tell them this is not my area of specialty. Let's try to find someone who's expert at that.
Yes, but I would do the same on the digital side, although I have a team of guys that do it. And so, in terms of getting in touch with me,
Yeah.
you could. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It would be Jim at jimrowemarketing.com, and it's ROWE, jimrowemarketing.com. That's the best place to reach me.
All right. Guys, thank you so much. This is episode 113, and you did great, both of you. And so thanks very much for being here. And it was nice talking to you again.
Same.
And thanks for watching this. You're probably watching it on a clip, so hopefully you enjoyed it. There are plenty more, thousands. See you soon. Bye.